of all things manufacturing is unbelievable. His passion for growing the workforce is undeniable. His story is inspiring. Drew Crow is a force of nature and a host on the Creators Lounge.
The Creators Lounge is proud to welcome Hexagon.
Good afternoon, IMTS. We are back here at the Creators Lounge for a much anticipated interview with our friends from Hexagon. We got a 2-for-1 today. We've got my friend Steve Ilmrud right here and Mr. Brian Winters. Fellas, thanks for joining us on the couch.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's jump right into it. We'll start with you. How did you get into the field and what brought you here today?
You know, it all goes back to when I was a little kid, right? I went to my dad's place of work. He was making jet engines. And I said, you know what? One day I want to make something like that. So it's kind of led to, never had any idea it would lead to that, but I've been working in manufacturing for 30 years now. Started off making jet engines, now making CMMs for Hexagon. Some of the most precise and accurate devices on Earth. Kind of a fun career.
Fantastic. Brian?
Yeah, so I went to UT Austin, got my mechanical engineering degree, and then promptly went out to Southern California, where it was all aerospace and better waves and better surf, right, and enjoyed the beach life, and really started kind of diving into it, right, and so got into manufacturing, started really focusing on that, some electromechanical assemblies and components, and then kept kind of educating myself, right? So you get into the Six Sigma, got my green belt. I'm actually working on my black belt now with Hexagon, right. So it's pretty cool to kind of continue that arc. And it's just amazing, right? I think, you know, one of the topics that we'll talk about today is just that, that mindset of continuous education and improvement. Right, so as you go on your individual journeys, to have that open mindset.
That is one of the keys that we want to continue to have people keep on the front of their mind, because you don't have a 30-year career without continuing to learn. And, you know, you guys have been here at the show. This might be probably not your first IMTS, I'm sure, but over the years that you've been coming, things have changed so fast. What are you all seeing in manufacturing now that wasn't so popular, I guess, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even in metrology?
Well, the technology has been changing so much over the past several years. You know, if you've got automation, you've got AI starting to come on board. Still very early stages from a manufacturing point of view, but you know, the workforces are becoming a challenge these days. There's just so many job openings that there's more to come, and we've got to really embrace the up-and-coming generation and get them trained and give them the impression of what manufacturing is today. It's not what you thought it was back 30, 40 years ago.
100%, and I think part of doing that is doing more things like this, right? So when you think about manufacturing, a lot of times people are only thinking about what happens at the machine. But before things get on the machine and after things are taken off of the machine, there's another crucial step, right? So there's measurements and inspections that have to take place. We're both machinists. He might not get it as an engineer. I'm surprised you guys aren't getting into it right here on the couch. No, but as machinists, we used to talk about getting parts bought off, right? And getting a part bought off means it has to pass inspection, and it's got to be good and got to be repeatable for us to sell this and get it to our end customer. Without good measurement tools, or without a person that can learn that quickly and easily, parts aren't getting bought off as fast. They're sitting on the machine. How is Hexagon helping people get better quality measurements, and how is the technology maybe being easier to use so more people are able to get better readings?
One of the big things I've seen happen is that, you know, I think back to the early days, the CMM was something you'd put at the end of the line in a clean room, take you 3 weeks to get some data. Now the stuff's on the shop floor, in line, in a process. You're getting tremendous data, real time, so you can see what's happening in your process and make adjustments.
Yeah, and real quick, because of your engineer comment, I got to say, man, in manufacturing, I learned so much more from the machinist, right? They pick up two plates and they snap and they go, oh, that's 3 thou, that's 4 thou, whatever, like with an air gap. And so, you know, you can learn from just about anybody if you got the right mindset, right?
I love that.
But the solutions that we have now, and specifically my product lines, I think are pretty amazing. So if you haven't seen them, come by the booth and check them out here before the show wraps up.
Yeah, I'll come through. That's me being there. Absolutely. We talked about workforce, right? Workforce is a challenge that is one of the top ones on the minds of manufacturers all over this conference, all over this globe, but definitely right here in the United States. What can we do to help bridge that gap through our work? What can we do to help bring more people in to see these different careers and different things that they might be able to do inside of a shop?
I'd say, first of all, companies have to embrace the technology, and then the workers need to embrace the technology. Don't be afraid of it. In every case that I've been involved with automation or other high technology, it has brought more jobs, more opportunities, right? Maybe you can talk more about from your point of view.
Yeah, I mean, like, so within the U.S., right, my sales guys will find specific opportunities, and they'll say, hey, can we park some hardware here, right? Like AMIC down in Huntsville is a good example. And up in Rhode Island, right? I think, Reg, just before we started, we were talking about some of those organizations as well. But that's a super important part of it, right? Because you're exposing the younger generation and the workforce into some new tools that they may not have ever seen before.
100%. And just myself, right? I was an instructor for 4 years at the local technical college. And, getting that inspection certification is one of the first ones that we do. However, kids are intimidated when they go in and they see an old CMM and they see that arm and they don't know how many points should I touch, which points are the ones that I should touch, how I'm going to get an accurate reading. But with new technology and lasers, now we're just scanning that thing and we're looking at the critical dimensions, and it takes some of that fear away. We're going to jump to break, and we're going to get back to that question right after this. All right, we are back with Hexagon. I got my guys on the couch with me, and we want to jump into some of the technical stuff now. You guys ready?
Let's go, Drew.
Sure.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about what an accuracy first mindset is, and how can a customer or a manufacturer adopt that mindset?
Yeah, so I mean, accuracy first, right? So we have a lot of tools that we've come out with. In fact, earlier this morning, we had a gentleman bring his son over, and they were looking at some of our new handhelds. And you should have seen this kid smile. Like we said, look, we're able to now capture some of these point clouds and the features and the critical dimensions on parts up front. Right, so you're able to put that into your model. You're able to put that into reverse engineering at an earlier starting point, and that continues to live with the process of the part, right, as it goes through its life cycle. So you can look back and see where it started, or after you've done another cutting pass, is it still there? Is everything still aligned? And you have that traceability all the way through, right? Whereas back in the day, it was a 2D print. Right, and you had your part file, and you didn't know what was happening along the way.
So you pulled it out of the machine, right? Yep, and hopefully you didn't pull it out of the machine.
Because then you have to reset everything.
Then you got to reset it. So that's another
right.
thing that I heard you all say that is, something that people don't think about, but has really changed the game in manufacturing is the mobility of our measurement systems. Can you tell me a little bit about how you are taking the measurement systems, keeping them accurate, but bringing them out of, remember there used to be rooms like this, right? Cold rooms where you go is almost like a lab where you have to take your part and you were scared because either you walk out with your face up or you walk out with a whole lot more work to do and a lot more questions, right? How has mobility changed the game in measurement tools, and how are we able to get more data or better parts quicker because of it?
That's all me, isn't it? Yeah, so with the portable measuring arm, right, like you're talking about, now the arm can go anywhere, right? You can set it up right next to where you're working. You can take the in situ inspection. You can take your point clouds. And with the hand scanners, I mean, you can literally we got a thing called a free box. You can clip it onto your belt. You can be up on a catwalk high up in the sky, right, and taking parts, taking your measurements and sending that back down to the computer. So you're really able to literally float just about anywhere, right? And of course, we also have the CMMs, right? So if you have a room that's dedicated, but a lot of places now, mobility is key. You need to be able to be out there and be agile.
100%. Speaking of tools, how can we help use the tools that we have to solve some of the challenges in this space when it comes to labor? How can we use some of these technologies to help solve that gap?
In our factories in the Americas, we've got multi-generational workforce, which is really a cool thing to have. We've got traditionalists and baby boomers who are there with years and years experience. We've got folks that come in with 6 months experience just out of school. They both bring such amazing things to the environment, and they're important together. The new folks coming in are much more adept to this technology, right? They're born and raised on iPhones and tablets, and so it comes.
I call them the screen-agers.
Screen-agers,
That's
true.
That's pretty
True.
clever.
Yeah,
I'm going to steal that one.
But the combination of those folks with that acceptance of technology, coupled with the folks of the years' experience, is a huge power. And we've got to capitalize on the folks that have had that experience. And using other training tools, we can bring those new folks, next generation in to become quickly adapted to what we need in the operation workforce.
I love that. And, seeing an engineer and a machinist work so well together and hearing compliments about machining from an engineer, you guys obviously know how to communicate and bring two people together, right? So how are y'all seeing these young people and these older people with this legacy knowledge? How are you all seeing that gap being closed? I know you said it's important to do it. How are you guys seeing it? Is there anything that we can tell our viewers, like this is something that works, or is there technology that we're using these days to be that go-between that legacy knowledge and this new young angst and energy that likes to use this technology?
There's definitely some technology we're using to help new folks coming into the organizations. We've got a Hexagon Machine Trainer that runs on our NC Simul platform. It's a great way to take new folks who don't have machine experience and give them the ability to play around with the machine tool in a safe environment. Ultimately, of course, that person is going to work with the person on the job, but it allows them to take that opportunity, learn with the simulator, crash a machine in a simulator in a virtual world. You're not taking your machine tool offline to train them. And then ultimately we'll come in on a real job, work with the actual experienced machinist, and make that connection.
Yeah, and I think, part of our responsibility as an OEM is to really make the technology, right, for the next generation, make it easy to use. We were talking this morning. I said, "Oh, it's like the Game Boy controller." I go, no, it's not Game Boy anymore. It's Nintendo Switch, right? So, but like the new hand scanners, you can control everything with your thumb. It's very easy to use, right? So it's less intimidating. The more you pick it up and the more you practice with it, you start to get really good at it very fast.
All right, and with that, we are going to go to a quick break, but stay tuned because we will be right back with more from Hexagon. We are back with Hexagon here, and the conversations are getting really juicy. I love where we're going with it. Let's talk a little bit about how metrology software is developing, and it's actually working within the devices now. Can we talk about that?
One really neat topic. We talked about the workforce limitations. So we've got a device, a software called Metrology Mentor. This will take a drawing, a blueprint, CAD file, extract all the data, and it'll begin to actually create a inspection program for you, which is really helping a lot, right?
Okay, wait. So like a CAD cam.
Okay.
It's taking everything off of this file, and it's building out the program for you to run this piece?
If you think about limitations in the accessibility of programmers,
yes.
Right? So you can take a CAD file with GD&T data inside the CAD file, or even a flat 2D drawing. It will take this, bring it in, look at all the GD&T, and actually create for you the beginnings of an actual inspection program. Now, it doesn't eliminate the programmer. Still want to vet it and check it out, but think about that impact of how that technology, bridging the gap and automating some of this technology.
So, I'm going back to my machining days, right? And I'm going back to when I was in the shop or when I was running the shop, also going back to my teaching days, right? And a lot of times there's not really a track in trade schools or in, these shops for the inspection department sometimes. Sometimes it's just whoever needs to inspect the part. Or sometimes when we can find a good quality guy or girl, it's that one person in that room. And if you're in a job shop, their parts are looking different every single day, right, before they get bought off. And if they have a back order of parts that they're checking and inspecting, then that means things aren't continuing to get made, things aren't getting out of the back door. So this sounds like this is an ability to, take some things off of that person's plate, get from, concept to bought off part a lot quicker, which is going to help a lot of manufacturers, obviously, in the long run. Is that about right?
That's right on, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I'll just add to that, like the best part about working at Hexagon is the continuous innovation, right? There's so many different tools within the toolbox that we're able to kind of combine and really build out. We were talking Game Boys, now more Legos, right? You're able to kind of build up your own hardware, your own software, and use things in concert and symphony in a way that really, it really opens doors and breaks down barriers very quickly.
And then maybe, starts to show new use cases for things that, we maybe not have put together before and change the way shops happen. I love that. What's your most what's the most exciting thing for you looking at the future of manufacturing? Maybe that is the technology or, the workforce or anything like that. What are you excited about, and what does the future look like to you?
I don't. If you come by the booth if you haven't seen the Zinger car, because that thing's pretty exciting. That 3D and that additive and what they're doing with it is absolutely amazing.
They had to hold my shirt back because I was gonna. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, think about manufacturing. Everything we touch, everything we interact with is manufactured. People don't think about where the stuff comes from, right? And then the new technology and the new tools allow us to produce things that were impossible to produce in the past. So where it's going to go is actually, who knows? Right?
Wherever our minds will take us, right?
Exactly.
Isn't that right? Excuse me. So what would you say to, somebody asked me this question on the podcast earlier, and it really put me in a place of the new generation, right? By looking through my own lens. What would you say to your 15-year-old self if you were at this show right now and you wanted to encourage your 15-year-old self to pick up the mantle and be one of those people that we need to fill these million open jobs right now? What advice would you give them, and what would you tell them, for this show? What to go look at, what to get into, what questions to ask?
I'd say don't limit yourself, right? Have an open mind and be creative. Follow what you're chasing and look at all the tools, because every day there's something new coming out, right? So there's something that didn't exist for us a generation ago. Where is that going to lead? Like Steve said, it's literally your lack of creativity, right? So now the everything's kind of been equalized. Everybody has access to these tools now, and so it's going to be really exciting to see where this new generation, where they're going to start to drive us.
It's a great question because the best days of our lives, the careers, the days you look back at the end of the day and say, what have I accomplished? What have I done? And then as you look back 30 years, those same questions still exist. What did I do over those past 30 years? And having the ability to look back and see something you've actually produced, right? That is manufacturing. So whether you're making jet engines or CMMs or airplanes or cars, getting involved in manufacturing and inspiring the younger ages to come and get into manufacturing allows you to look back and touch and hold something you've actually produced. That's really exciting to me.
And with that, we can't end it any better way, So, Steve and Brian, thank you all for spending time with us today, kicking it on the couch with me, and having this great conversation. And if you all want to have the best out of your career, we're 30 years in. We've got engineers, we got machinists. Connect with them, ask them the questions. Go hang out at the Hexagon booth, drive the car, see if you can beat our time. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks a lot.